Hello students. Now we have in the previous discussions we have seen about the diesel power plant, uh, the salient features, the layout of the power plant, and also we have discussed about the fuel injection system into a diesel power plant. So now we will look at one more aspect of the power plant, that is the cooling of the diesel power plant. Basically diesel engine here, because the engine generates a lot of heat, and almost 30-35% of the fuel energy gets converted into this cooling jacket heat, so that water or that amount of heat has to be dissipated to the atmosphere. Okay, so cooling is a very important requirement for a diesel engine to avoid the rise in temperatures and seizing of the engine. So we will see the simple water cooling arrangement diagram here. You can see to the extreme left there is a overhead tank. There is a huge overhead tank, and from that tank, I think one line is missing here. From that tank, the water you can see there is coming to the engine. Okay, the bottom line, you can take this as the bottom line. Water is coming to the engine. So overhead tank says the water is coming to the engine from the bottom. Okay, and the water goes up, rises up in the cylinder heads, and then it comes to the sump here. Okay, this hot water will fall down into the sump. From this sump there will be a pump. There is a pump which pumps this hot water into this cooling tower. You can see this is known as cooling tower, tall one. It is known as induced draft cooling tower. This is a induced draft cooling tower in the sense here you have got a motor in the top. There is a blower in the top which is sucking the air. That is why it is known as induced draft cooling tower. Okay, so this water which is pumped into the induced draft cooling tower from the top, almost at 50 to 60% height, it is sent, and there are spray nozzles. So this water from the pump, when it comes out in the form of a fine spray. Okay, like in hair cutting salon they spray the water on your hairs, like it comes in the form of spray. And there, not only that, this cooling tower being tall, it also has got baffle plates, like wooden plates are there. It has got a baffle plate, so that there is retention time for the heat exchange to take place from the hot water to the cooled air. Okay, now you see in this induced draft cooling tower, air enters from the bottom. You can see the bottom cold air enters, because there is a, as I said, there is a blower in the top. Induced draft means definitely there is a draft is induced, there is a motor and a blower. So it is rotating like an exhaust fan. It is just simple like an exhaust fan. It is throwing out the air from the top. So the exhaust fan is mounted on the top now. That creates a suction, and the air from the surrounding get into the cooling tower. Then it interacts with the water. Okay, and then it takes, due to the temperature difference, this water gives away the heat to the air. Say air may be around 30 to 40 degrees centigrade, water may be around 80-85 degrees centigrade. So there is a lot of difference, 40-45 degrees temperature difference. So the the hot water gives away its temperature to the cold air. This cold air becomes warm and it goes on the top. Okay, in this process also there is almost 3 to 5% of evaporation, also surface evaporation of water also takes place. Okay, so this is a cooling tower, and once the water falls down, it is cold now. So this cold water which falls down, it is again pumped back to the overhead tank. Okay, and what happens, sometimes you have to drain the sediments. In the sediments, if are there in the cooling tower sump, they need to be drained. Okay, so again we will see the components. One is the overhead tank to the extreme left. Then you have got the engine. The overhead tank supplies water to the engine. The engine this water becomes hot and it's sent to the sump. From the sump it is pumped to the induced draft cooling tower. From the cooling tower it becomes cold water, and this cold water is pumped back to the overhead tank. This completes the circuit, and this is the cooling water arrangement for diesel engines in a diesel power plant. Okay. Next, very frequently in the university exams they ask what is the thermosiphon cooling system and thermo pump cooling system and thermosiphon cooling system. So now you can see this thermosiphon cooling system. Thermo means heat and siphon means like sucking. Like you what you do, you take your solar water heaters. So in the solar water heater, have you seen any pump there? No. The water flows, cold water as well as warm water, they flow only because of density difference. The same principle is applied here. There is no pump. In the thermosiphon cooling system, the siphon effect is created or the suction effect is created only because of temperature. Okay. Now we will see this system. This is a very outdated system. I have not come across this system, but it is there in your syllabus, because now all the cooling systems are forced pump based cooling systems with thermostats and all. Now you can see this right side, you have got this engine, big engine is there, and you have got the water jackets around the engine. Okay, so cold water enters from the bottom, from the radiator, extreme left you have got the radiator. From the radiator, the cold water enters the engine, and as it rises up, the temperature increases. So cold water enters the engine, and when it comes up to the cylinder head and all, it becomes the hot water. Okay, this is a almost 4-cylinder engine block is shown here, and the hot water which goes up due to natural circulation. Here there is no pump, as I said. There is the water, as the temperature of water increases, its density decreases and it becomes lighter and it goes on the top. So this is the principle on which it is working. So the hot water comes to the top and it comes to the radiator. Now in the radiator, the water falls from the top. Due to the tubes, it comes down. Okay, when it is coming down, there is a air movement across the tube. Okay, like this is a cross flow heat exchanger. So the hot water will exchange its heat to the cold air, and there is a fan here. The engine drives a small fan. Okay, the fan sucks the air, so the air is sucked through the radiator, and this movement of air against this water, hot water, will allow the heat transfer to take place from the hot water to the cold air, and thus the heat transfer takes place and the water loses its temperature and again becomes cold water or warm water, and again it comes down and the circuit completes. This cold water enters the engine and it rises up due to, as it becomes hot, again goes back to the top of the radiator, falls down. While it is falling down, it gives away the heat to the airstream, and thus the circuit is completed. In this thermosiphon system, there is no coolant pump, and due to density difference, there is a natural circulation of water flowing, and this is known as thermosiphon cooling system. There is one more system known as thermostat cooling system. This thermostat cooling system is very popular. You can see in your car engine, bus engines and all big engines, you have got this thermostat cooling system. Now you see again the same engine is shown here, 4-cylinder engine is shown here. The water is entering from the bottom, but here there is a pump. Between the radiator and the engine there is a pump. So this pump, this sucks the water from the radiator sump and it pushes the water through the engine. Now the engine, this water flows through the engine jackets and becomes hot and comes to the top. Okay, and when it comes to the top, you have a bypass valve. You have a bypass valve as well as thermostat also in this system. I will tell you about this. But first we will see the pump will pump the cold water to the engine. It becomes hot and the hot water goes to the radiator. Radiator on the top it goes. Again, when the water is coming down through the radiator tubes, due to the cross flow of the air, ambient air, which is at a lower, comparatively lower temperature, it gives the hot water gives the heat to the cold air and it becomes cold and comes back to the lower tank of the radiator, and from the lower tank the pump will pump the coolant water to the engine. Now there are two more components you have seen. First you have seen in the thermostat you have got pump, and second you have got a thermostat also. Now this thermostat is like you have got iron boxes at home, you know. So in iron box you have got a temperature control knob is there. Whatever temperature you want to control, you will keep that, and when it attains the temperature, that supply is stopped. Okay, when the temperature falls, again the valve is open. That is also a thermostat. Okay, so here also it's like a temperature sensitive switch. Now here what happens, this thermostat is provided. See, when we are starting a engine, diesel engine especially, starting is slightly difficult. So when I am starting the engine or cranking the engine, I do not want the water to go to the radiator, become cold and come back. I want the engine to become hot first. Let the engine become hot, let the engine start. Then when it attains the coolant water attains a temperature of say 70 degrees centigrade and so, then I want that water to go to the radiator for cooling. Till such time I don't want the water to go to the radiator to get cooled, because I want the engine to be started, and starting of the diesel engines, as you know, is slightly tedious when compared to petrol engines. So this thermostat valve is provided. When you start the engine, initially the pump is also not working. Okay, and only the water which is flowing here, it is inside the engine only, engine block only. Okay, this thermostat valve will close and there is a bypass, so this hot water will come back to the engine. So engine water will become hot, go to the top due to the temperature difference. But again, because of the thermostat valve is closed, due to the bypass, the engine water will come back to the engine block, and thus the engine block will become hot, and we are able to start the engine fast. Okay, once the temperature is a preset temperature of say 70-75 degrees centigrade is attained by the water, then this thermostat valve will open and it will allow the hot water to flow to the radiator. So this is the role of thermostat valve, and this is known as thermostat cooling system. Very frequently asked in the university examinations. Okay. We have seen thermosiphon method as well as thermostat cooling methods. Now we will see single and double circuit cooling. Very simple. As the name says, single circuit cooling means there is only one circuit of cooling water, and double circuit means there are two circuits. Like you take the left side, single circuit cooling system, you have got an engine, water enters the bottom, becomes hot, goes to the top, and it comes to the cooling tank or cooling pond, and from there due to the spray, the hot water is dissipating the heat to the air and becomes cold and comes to the cooling pond, and it is sent back to the engine. This is known as single circuit cooling system. Whereas in double circuit cooling system, like in a steam power plant, if you just recollect, there is a engine. Okay, so the cold water is supplied to the engine. It carries the heat from the engine. It becomes hot, comes to a heat exchanger. Okay, it comes to a heat exchanger, and in the heat exchanger it is cooled and it comes back to the pump and the circuit is complete. But here the heat exchanger, this is working in conjunction with a cooling pond or even a cooling tower also. Okay, so here this heat exchanger, the cooling pond will supply the cold water to the heat exchanger. This water, again there is a heat transfer between water to water here. So the cold water from the cooling pod will exchange the heat with this hot water, and it will come back to the cooling pond. Here cooling pond, there are sprays are there, so that the heat from the water is sent to the atmosphere. So this is the double circuit and single circuit cooling system. Okay. So we have seen water cooling system along with this cooling tower. Then we have seen thermosiphon cooling system. We have also seen the thermostat cooling system, and finally we have seen the single and double circuit cooling system. Okay. So in our next discussion, we will see the lubrication system. Thank you.